Hello and welcome to this ET Now special. I'm Nayantara. Over the next 30 minutes, we've got an A-star lineup that's going to be discussing the latest trends in Indian hospitality. And trust me, it doesn't get bigger than this. We're going to be in conversation with the global chiefs of Hyatt and Hilton, the top boss of Indian hotels that runs the Taj Group, Rakesh Sarna, the very media-shy Vikram Oberoi, who's also the son of legendary hotelier PRS Oberoi. Our conversations are very timely. They're taking place a few days after the Supreme Court banned the sale of alcohol within 500 meters of national highways, a verdict which is now being seen as crushing the hospitality sector.
Closer to home, beef ban, liquor ban, we can go on and on. Your views on that?
I take a lot of encouragement from where we were 3 years ago. But I also am very encouraged by what's going to happen in India. Today, India has about 430 aircrafts. There's about 780 aircrafts on order to be delivered within 36 months. 82% are slated to operate intra-India. And the Indian traveler is very aspirational. The Indian millennials are very aspirational. They're going to travel. They are going to get us to a stage where we would not be worrying too much about how many international routes we should have. Of course, we should have a lot more. So I think people are not going to stop traveling because they can't find a good steak or can't find liquor on a hotel near a highway. We will get over this. So I don't let these things worry me too much. Of course, sometimes you question the logic, but I always question myself, well, what am I doing about it? What can I do about it? And I think we collectively in this room have the responsibility to show our country, to show our society that we're responsible people. We can drink responsibly.
Vikram, would you like to add something? I know the Oberoi's couple has been in the forefront, but anything to add to that?
It was a Supreme Court judgment, and the cause is noble. You don't want to have people who consume alcohol drive and either hurt or kill other people. I think one needs to look at two things. One is the unintended consequences, and the unintended consequences will be significant. It will cause unemployment of some people. I read a figure of about 1 million people. It's not a small number. And especially if you're one of those 1 million people, it's your livelihood. Then you're no longer a statistic. It impacts your life directly. So that's one aspect. It will impact businesses. It will impact hotels. It will impact restaurants. And these businesses and restaurants and hotels probably paid a premium for that location. So the level playing field has suddenly been changed. So those are the unintended consequences. As far as intended consequences go, you know, when this happened, we were all taken by surprise. So Gujarat is a dry state. Gujarat is the ninth most populous state in India. It has the 8th highest rate of fatalities as a result of driving. You know, that speaks for itself. So I'll leave it at that, Manav.
We're now joined by the global CEOs of both Hyatt and Hilton. They're maybe competitors, but they're also good friends. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here.
Absolutely, great to be here.
So you can see the camaraderie. So I'll come to you first. Hyatt, are you impressed by how Hyatt is performing in India? Are you bullish on India? What kind of growth plans can we expect?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm really pleased with how we've grown over time. We, at this point in time, are enjoying the benefits of having worked on trying to build a new presence in many different markets. So, roughly speaking, in terms of number of hotels or number of rooms, we have a pipeline that's about equal to our current presence, about 26 hotels, about 6,500 rooms. So I think our growth is quite solid. And yeah, mostly I'm interested in expanding to new markets around the country.
And what about you? We spoke about the Marriott Starwood proposed the merger in the panel discussion that you were part of. You've spoken about it in the past. How will that impact your India plans? Because both have a good presence here.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect our plans. We've been committed to India for a long time, and while we're very large around the world, we're relatively small still in India, with only 16 hotels, another 18 under development in our pipeline, and so we have a ways to go before we're at the level of distribution that we want, but we're very committed with the 5 brands that we have in India today and others that we're going to bring to India to having a significant presence here in the coming decades. And so I tend to focus on my business and not worry about other people's businesses. We have some of the best brands in the world. We're a very large company with distribution, almost 5,000 hotels in 105 countries, including this wonderful country. And so we're very focused on being able to serve customers even more than we can today by offering more opportunities at different price points with a broader geographic reach in India.
You say you're going to bring more brands to India. Which ones are these?
You're going to have to wait and see.
Now in India, we follow Donald Trump's policies very, very strongly because we have a strong IT network. We export to the US, etc. How do you think the presidency is going to impact hospitality? He's, of course, a tycoon himself when it comes to hotels. Don't run away.
Well, I think there's been a lot of different noise in the marketplace about different policies that have been proposed. They haven't necessarily been implemented at this point, so I think it's a bit early to draw any conclusions. And I think it's also, there's a certain economic reality, which is that travel and tourism is a very important sector of the economy, for sure in the United States and also here in India. It's a great export, and I think as a consequence of that, policymakers will pay attention to supporting the industry as they set policy.
Chris, when you come to India and you read about the fact that you can't get a glass of wine 500 meters from the highway, you can't get a steak, how do you react? How do foreign tourists react as well?
Well, that's obviously late-breaking news. I read about it literally as I was flying over, and so it's hard to respond other than to say, I think that the ultimate objective of keeping people safe, which is what is behind the Supreme Court ruling, is a noble objective. And I think over the coming months and years, it's going to have to be adjusted a bit to make sure that it doesn't have unintended consequences.
I want to just ask you about the partial exit of Blackstone. You've got the Chinese now very bullish on tourism, but your new largest shareholder also owns Carlson. Are we going to see a merger the likes of Starwood and Marriott?
No, I don't think so. They own all of Carlson. They own 25% of us, and there's no intention to put together their hotel assets, including Hilton. Having said that, there is, as you heard on stage, an intention to connect with their other travel assets, including their loyalty program for their airline, their tour business, which is the largest in China, their online travel agency, which is the second largest in China. So we're very excited to have HNA as a new partner, and we think that there's tremendous opportunity for us to work with them to make 1 + 1 = 3 with their various travel and tourism assets. But as it relates to the hotel company component of it, no, we'll remain separate and independent.
We get only 9 million inbound tourists a year, which is so sad. We're such a big country. Do you think now more than ever is an opportunity, especially with what's happening in Europe? There are terror attacks, there's a threat of ISIS, etc. How can Hyatt and Hilton both leverage that?
Well, actually, Chris was responsible for a big effort in the United States over the last couple of years to help to reduce friction for inbound travel. Several industry groups that came together, U.S. Travel Association, American Hotel and Lodging Association, and this reduction in friction, I think, is a big issue. The e-visa program here, I think, has been a very productive thing, and you've already seen the impact. I think December, something like a 10% increase in inbound travel, international arrivals. That's a big increase. And so I think it's just the very, very beginning, because it's very compelling to come here. There's so much India has to offer. So I'm optimistic that with continued focus on reducing friction, and of course improving the infrastructure, which is happening all around us, I think you'll see significant growth.
If you could meet Prime Minister Modi and say these are 3 things you need to do if you're going to make India a really good destination for tourism, what would they be?
I'd say, Mark covered it, I'd say make it easy to come here. The nice thing about India is, from a culture point of view, it is amazingly welcoming from a travel and tourism point of view. From the standpoint of having attractions, there are many attractions that people around the world want to see. What has to happen, I think, is now we have to make the world aware of those, market India as a destination even more aggressively, make sure that we make it easy, e-visas, the use of technology, make it easier for people to get here, and invest, which is happening at the highest levels in history or recent history, invest in the infrastructure so that when they're here, they can get around very easily and make sure it's safe and secure. The one thing we know about travelers is they want to go to places that are safe and secure. So I think those would be, I guess, 4 pieces of advice.
My final question to both you gentlemen, I know you're short of time. You both have to compete against each other in India, but you also have to compete with very old hospitality chains who take hospitality very seriously when it comes to what you don't see around the world, just the way we do hospitality. Does that make it tougher to be in India?
I think it does. I think we can all the international companies could take a lesson from the local Indian companies, and that is, I think they do it very well. I think they are very good at hospitality. I think we are too, but they've done a very good job for obvious reasons of localizing it. And I think the lesson for all of us big international operators is, and not just here in India, but all around the world, we need to localize our businesses as well to make sure that it's what we're doing here is unique from the standpoint of the products we offer, and most importantly, from the standpoint of the service that we deliver, that it takes on the heart and soul of India, just like every other location in the world. So I think we can learn a lot from them. They do a wonderful job.
Are you looking at localizing? Who's your bigger competitor? Is it just Chris, or is it also an Oberoi, a Taj, or an ITC? Who's a bigger competitor?
No, I think a couple of things. One is, let me borrow a phrase that Chris has used before, which is, don't forget that we are in the hospitality business, not the lodging business. He's made that distinction relative to other players in the world, and I think that's absolutely correct. It happens that several of the Indian brands bring that to life in a very rich way. And the reason they do is because of the Indian people. And the fact is that we also employ magnificent people who bring that heart and soul to what they do. So in many ways, that special feeling that I have when I'm here, it comes from my own experience and my own colleagues. And so that's what I think makes it special.
At this Global Hospitality Conference hosted by HVS, one of the biggest talking points was the impact of that mega merger between Marriott and Starwood. How the rules of the game being rewritten here in India. We're now joined by the top boss of Marriott South Asia, Neeraj Govil. Thanks so much for joining us here on ET Now.
Very welcome.
If I may say so, there is one overhang which is there at this big hospitality global conference, and that has to do with the Supreme Court's ruling as far as the liquor ban goes. How are global majors like Marriott reacting to this, and what is it doing to your business in the country?
I think it's important to say that several of our hotels have been impacted by this. We've had a few of our hotels, especially in Delhi as well as in Jaipur, that are impacted by this. Hotel in Kochi as well. We've just got an understanding of what this all entails. We are working to make sure that initially we're compliant with whatever the regulations are as per the ruling. We've got an idea now of which hotels are going to be impacted. We are working through industry bodies at the moment and with state governments to make sure that we, A, first of all, comply with it, B, alter our operations to comply with it, but more importantly, work on a plan going forward, right? Because while there is merit to this judgment in the sense of what it's trying to achieve, I think there's a lot of collateral implications that we feel we need to represent as an industry in the right forum. So we're working on that.
Okay, so moving on from the liquor ban, how's life post the Marriott-Starwood merger?
So I said this yesterday up on stage. I think if you were to tell me on 23rd of September that this is where we'd be on 31st of March, I would take it, right? So I think we've made tremendous progress with all the stakeholders. So we put a new structure in place now in India. We have looked at bringing in talent from both legacy organizations. We put together a great team in place. The plan now is to maximize and leverage the scale that this merger brings. And the plan is to make sure that going forward we leverage cost opportunities as well as top line opportunities. But for me right now the number one job is integration. I spend 90% of my time focused on integrating the talent we have. Strategies are in place, procedural changes are being made, but it's really about the impact on the people, which is our number one focus.
So have jobs been lost as a result of this integration?
Above property, we at property levels, all jobs are in place. There has been a couple of people that have moved on for other opportunities. We've made every effort to try to ensure that we absorb anyone that we had to relocate. So there have been a lot of adjustments within teams. We've moved people around, brought synergy in our operations in some places. And I would say 99% of the time we've been successful, which is a pretty healthy place to be at this point.
So post this merger, how much has your exposure gone up by? How many more properties do you have? How many more rooms do you have?
So 87 hotels now in India, operating under a Marriott flag, up from 34 before. We've got franchised operations for the first time, so that's new. And going forward, number of hotel rooms now, 19,000 hotel rooms, up considerably from where we were. And 26,000 employees, associates with us. So it's a big scale for us.
So is Marriott looking to introduce new brands into the country? We're talking at a time when someone like Indian Hotels, they say, hey, we're only going to have one brand.
So we've got 15 brands in our operational India. We have 30 in our stable, but we've got 15 in India. If there are development opportunities to add more brands, we will definitely look at them. We believe India is a very fertile market in that sense, so we'll look at that. But most importantly, I think when you look at it, it's about consolidating the existing brands in the markets, dominating every single market with every single brand we have. So brand positioning is important to us. Our positioning is not necessarily at a price point, it's more in terms of a lifestyle play and a choice for the customer, so we're looking at doing that. But if there are opportunities, yes. Currently 15 brands in India with 87 hotels, and we'll open 17 more hotels this year in India.
17 in this financial year before 31st March 2018?
Correct. 17 more hotels will open, will be added to our portfolio.
And these are all in the big cities, the smaller cities?
Tertiary markets is where the big play is. We're adding hotels in Jaipur. We're adding a JW Marriott in Jaipur, a Marriott in Indore, for example. We've got hotels in Bangalore, Hyderabad that will open. A lot of resort destinations being added to. We're adding a Le Méridien in Goa. So there's hotels all over the spectrum right now.
And this is what, an asset-light strategy? Are you owning any of these?
We are completely asset-light in that sense. We are a management operator and we have a large portfolio of franchised hotels as well.
So 17 hotels by 31st March 2018. What's the longer-term expansion plan?
So we've said 100 hotels by 2018, and then looking forward we have 100 more under construction. So the play clearly is to get to 200 hotels in the next 5 to 6 years.
And what kind of an investment? I understand asset light, but what kind of an investment?
Our investment is really in our brands, in our people. Yeah. And in working to ensure that the industry overall benefits from it. So we're not really investing in too many of these hotels at the moment, but it's really about getting the brand experience into India. Loyalty program is huge for us as well.
Do you think your bigger competitors are the global ones, like a Hilton, a Hyatt, or is it the domestic?
Both. I think in different markets, you have different competitors, right? So in terms of the loyalty program play, yes, I mean the international competitors are big. Taj is very huge here in India, a formidable competitor with years of experience. So in different markets, it's different competitors that we go up against. And as you go into tertiary markets, it gets more unstructured, and you're actually competing with the local players in those micro markets as well.
Give me a sense of how important the Indian market is for Marriott globally, for the main headquarters.
Second biggest market in Asia Pacific after China, so huge market for us, growing at a phenomenal pace as well. Again, we see terrific opportunity in India because of the number of branded rooms that we currently have. So there's opportunity, ample opportunity with that front. Ample opportunity with brands. We know Indians are very aspirational traveler now, so across the different segments, we have brands now that can, in our stable, that we can add to the portfolio and see even bigger growth numbers than we currently have.
Beef ban, liquor ban, global hospitality majors say these are just temporary blips. It's not stopping their expansion plans here in India. Domestic hospitality chains also are not stopping their investments. We're now joined by the president of the Leela Group, Rajiv Kaul. Thank you for joining us here on ET Now. I have to begin by asking you about the liquor ban, the verdict of the Supreme Court, which has kind of crippled the hospitality sector. How bad off is the Leela Group?
Well, it has affected our hotel in Gurgaon. I think that something will be worked out very soon. There is now talk of motorable distance being the parameter rather than as the crow flies. I think the intentions of the ban were good, but the execution again has,
But with the
created
weekend
this
that's
fund.
just ended, did you see abysmal numbers? Do you see cancellations?
Definitely beverage sale, which used to be maybe about anything between 30 to 40% of food sales, that's not there. The fear is that large banqueting functions could be cancelled because of this. It's a dampener. It's not a question of revenue alone. Guests expect to have a glass of beer or a glass of wine with their meal, and we are disappointing them. That's a real concern.
And how are you going as far as your expansion plans go? You've always spoken about now being asset light. Is anything on the anvil?
Yes, so we have a property under construction in Bangalore. Today we have 9 hotels, and our plan is to double this portfolio in the next 5 years. So we are going through management contract route. As I mentioned to you, we have a hotel in Bangalore, which is under construction. There is a property in Jaipur, and Agra will be constructed soon. We are trying to take the brand international, and there are 2 opportunities in the GCC, in the Emirates. And then there is something in the Indian Ocean Basin, in Maldives and in Seychelles. So this is what we are working on.
So these are greenfield, or I would imagine a franchise?
No, these are all going to be greenfield projects, so we have to be patient. To build a Leela will take at least 3 to 4 years.
And how are you going to build it? What kind of fundraising can we expect then? And what will it do to your balance sheet and the existing debt?
These are, as we said, that these are operated hotels, they're not owned hotels. So clearly the revenue, is the management contract fee revenue that comes to us. So it does not make any difference to the balance sheet, except for the fact that it increases your operational income. That's really what it is.
And by when are you going to be overseas?
I think that we are very hopeful that we will ink our first contract in the next 6 months.
And that will be for the Emirates?
There's work going on furiously at both places, but definitely we should have 2 hotels overseas this year, which will open in the next 3 years.
Mr. Kaul, just a quick word also as far as the plan goes of selling off certain properties and hotels. Where are we on that front?
We are in all kinds of possibilities are being looked at, because the intent is to find a total solution to the problem. So we are fortunate that we have a very understanding ARC that we are working with, and who also encourage us to look at a total solution. So we are hopeful that in the next 3 to 4 months, we are able to come to we are able to execute the action plan.
So it's not going to be piecemeal as we had seen in the past?
No.
So it's restructuring?
It could be a combination of all.
Are you going to tell me anything more on what we can expect as far as it? Because this is the trigger for the stock price.
I think there is a plan. It's a good plan. All the stakeholders agree to it. It's all about execution. So be a little patient, and we'll be happy to share it with you.
So interesting days ahead of us. How's the liquor ban going to pan out for the hospitality sector? How are Donald Trump's policies going to impact hotels at large globally? We'll be back next year with the latest trends. Many thanks for watching this ET Now special.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.